Hello, this is an overview of Module 4 materials. In this module, we're covering issues related to the social problems that affect today's students. And as you can see, some of the objectives involve looking at the issue of socioeconomic status, especially poverty, and the effects that it has on students. Looking at some of the characteristics of families and students in this country and some of the issues related to that, and also some of the issues that relate to students themselves, and especially focusing on issues of school violence, bullying, and aspects of those topics. One thing that we need to consider is also students dropping out of school and the reasons for that, and the general situation here relates to students who are at risk academically and may become dropouts as a result of this. I'm going to move right to the presentation for this module. There are some guidelines here for working with diverse families. Diversity is a primary issue in considering today's students because of the very different backgrounds that students come from and the various conditions that affect the way they're going to learn. There's a slide on risk factors that you should take a look at, and then we've got a graph on the socioeconomic situation with students that shows the different ethnicities and how they're affected by situations with, like, not living with two parents, parents who are not full-time employees, and health insurance issues. There's a graph on children under 18 who live in poverty, and it's broken down by the different ethnicities. The poverty issue is mentioned here. Teacher schools and poverty, and what teachers need to consider and do about students related to the poverty issue. One of those issues is reporting abused students, and I'm going to come back to that in a minute. There's a slide on the risk of teen parents. There's a slide about teen pregnancy, sex education in schools, and then the signs of potential child abuse. Again, this is something you need to pay particular attention to as a teacher. There's a graph on student drug and alcohol use. And then there's something about the warning signs for suicide, something that you really want to keep an eye on with your students, and that continues here. And this slide deals with reducing the threat of school violence. It's a very important issue on what you should do as a teacher and what schools should do to deal with the situation of violence in schools. There's something here about the issue of cheating in school, and then it gets into the issue of dropouts, and we're going to see more of that in the other materials. Okay, we're going to move into the materials section for this module. There's a video here related to poverty in students, and another video that looks at what particular students are saying about their living situation as it relates to poverty. Here's an article here by Dr. Payne about understanding poverty, And there are some topics in here that you need to consider and that are covered on the quiz. This is another recent article about a milestone that we've reached very recently. And again, this is something that's covered on the quiz, but it's a very important milestone in terms of the percentages of students in the classrooms these days. We have an infographic on differentiation. Again, this is covered in the quiz. The first part of the infographic tells you what differentiation is, and then the second part of it tells you what differentiation is not. So be sure to take a look at this infographic and get a sense of the distinction between what it is and what it isn't. And then we get into the topic of dropouts, and there's a couple infographics on this topic. The first one relates to the cost of dropping out, and you'll find quiz items that deal with some of these statistics. The second one has more data on the dropout situation. And then there's a very recent article about graduation rates going up, but the dropout situation is still a major concern, with a fairly high percentage of students who are dropping out of school. And this article gives some major factors for that and why it's happening. Along with those infographics, you should have a pretty clear idea about what's happening with dropouts. And there's one more article. This was an article, it was a feature article that appeared in the local newspaper, the Nacogdoches Daily Sentinel. Again, it has some more just statistics on the dropout situation, and it focuses in on what's happening here in Texas. So be sure you take a look at this article. The next topic we get into here is bullying, and there's an infographic on that topic. This is an interactive infographic. If you go to the actual source, you can click on the different areas and get more information about bullying. It's enough just to view it as it is, but I did want to mention that it is interactive and you can get much more information on this. Some of these topics, we'll come to this later on, the assignment that's coming up where your group will be presenting on one of the topics or issues in education. This is a possible topic to go into more detail on in a group presentation, along with the general issue of what's going on in this module with students who live in poverty, the low economic situation, dropouts and graduation rates, and those kinds of things. Also, the important issue of differentiation. These are all topics that can be selected for later presentation. There's one more article in the module materials on bullying that goes into some of the issues about what it is to be a bully and to be bullied, and you can get some more details about how to deal with this situation as a teacher and what schools should be doing. The last thing I want to mention about this module is that issue of child abuse. It's very important that you're aware that any suspicion of child abuse needs to be reported. It needs to be reported in a timely manner, and it's one of the obligations that you have as a teacher to make sure that you are reporting it. Failure to report child abuse, if it comes back that you possibly were aware of it and did not report it, is an ethical issue in education and in the teaching profession, and we'll see that when we get to the module about ethics and law issues in teaching. So be sure that you pay particular attention to this aspect of reporting any suspected child abuse. Okay, and that's pretty much it for the materials in this module. If you have any questions, of course, please be sure and send me a message or bring it up in class if you think it's something that the whole class should know about and we should address in class. Thank you.